How's it? Today is Tuesday, January 28th. Some back squats, some overhead presses today. Real simple. It's just a little increase from last week, which essentially is what I do every week. It's called progressive overload. um, today's back squats were at 116, which is just 3 kilos up from last week. They were actually pretty hard. I don't know if I warmed up properly, and I don't know if I was kind of misgrooving the squats, the beginning portion of the sets, but they were not easy. And I also moved up for the overhead press for 3 kilos for 3 sets of 5, so we went from 60 last week to 63 today. And honestly, I did not think I was going to be able to do all 3 sets of 5 after the first set, which, given what I just said on how my back squats felt, maybe meant that I was just not prepared today. I don't think the increase was too aggressive or anything. I think it was a reasonable increase, and I feel like I'm plenty strong to do it. I just felt off. Here's my first set at 116. I felt like I had to really fight, which doesn't really feel that way on the squats. And granted, there's gonna come a point where I can't just increase 3 kilos a week, and maybe it's now. I don't want to think that it's gonna be now. I want to get to at least 125, maybe higher than that, maybe like 130-ish before I start having to think about decreasing the overall reps. But maybe that's not in the cards for me. I think my best 3 sets of 10 ever, I want to say, is probably 315. So that's a very, very, very far away from now, right? That's 143 kilos. I'm at 116 right now. And, granted, during that time, I wasn't working. I was in college. All I cared about was lifting weights and eating well. And so it was a lot easier to think about then. I also was using a belt and all of these things. So I feel like if I put on my belt, I would be able to squat a considerable more. But I don't think that is the most necessary for me right now. It might be. It's honestly almost like a crutch in some kind of perspectives. Where if I put on a belt, of course I'm gonna lift heavier. But does that mean that I need the belt? Or that I'm gonna rely on the belt for all of those things? And maybe, I don't know. There's a big school of thought where you should train in the equipment you lift in, or sorry, you should train in the equipment you compete in. And because I don't compete in the squat, does that matter? Ooh, that did not look good. But yeah, does that matter? I would say yes and no. I feel like when I'm getting to heavy enough sets where I'm gonna need the belt, and that is more for I can't push anymore out of my legs, out of my back, then that is gonna give me that extra oomph that I need to just lift heavier weights. And if I lift heavier weights, then I'm gonna give my body a more intense, a stronger stimulus for growth. And so if I can lift more weights with the belt, shouldn't I just lift more weights with the belt? That's one side of the argument. The other side is what I had said earlier. Is is the reliance on the belt masking a weakness? And yeah, that might be true. That might very well be true. But right now we are in a zone where I don't think I need a belt. Typically, this is my overhead press. Speaking of belts, I belt up for all of my overhead presses now. But for the back squat, when I'm thinking about what numbers that I usually use my belt on, it's going to usually be around 140 for, sets of 5 or more. I think I would probably reduce that to about 130 for sets of 10. And I don't know if that's going to still be true. Maybe I need it at 120. Who knows? I think for the front squat, I usually use the belt at around 100, just because that is also where I will start using the belt when I clean. And those are almost exactly the same movement in the same position. So that one is more akin to the phrasing where you should train in the equipment you compete in. So I'm totally okay with putting the belt on there. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I'm talking kind of about equipment too long. After my overhead presses, did some split squats, my curls for my elbow health, some dips, and then some reverse hyper extensions. I think like today was one of those days where I didn't really think about my lower back, which is what I had injured right in October. So that's like a very positive sign. So I'm moving in the right direction, and I know I say that a lot, and I've been saying that for months, but I think it's been true for months that I'm still moving in the right direction, right? But yeah, that's it for today. Thank you for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe. Shoots.